fluid mechanics. So in this, I'm going to start this topic with a topic called viscosity. So technically, viscosity is the we can say that it is the shear resistance, okay, of a flowing fluid. It is the shear resistance of a flowing fluid. We all know that so here we can see that I will explain this viscosity concept using this diagram. So here this is called the velocity gradient. Okay. So anything, any fluid, a fluid may be a gaseous state or in a liquid state. So consider a profile like this. So this is a typical aerodynamic profile. So if a fluid flow in this direction, okay, it approaches the body and it hits the boundary of the body. So it will deflect like this. It will deflect like this. The thing is, this gradient is formed in between the boundary, in between the surface and the flowing fluid. So the thing is, if you concentrate any of this part, it will look like if this was the boundary, okay, then your fluid will start to flow with some clearance between your surface. So this particular gap, we call it as boundary layer. Okay, so this particular part is maximized here. So consider this as a boundary. Okay, so if a flowing fluid which is having a velocity v, okay, which is flowing over a boundary, that is flowing over a surface. So due to this friction coefficient, due to the friction between the flowing fluid and the boundary, okay, flowing fluid and the surface, so it will lose its velocity, it will lose its momentum, okay. The flowing fluid lose its momentum. So momentum means it will obviously it will lose its velocity. So the velocity at the boundary, at the surface, which is nearly zero. Okay. So if you move away from the boundary, that is, if you move away from the boundary like this, this is the flowing fluid. In this point, velocity which is equal to zero. If you move on to this topic, move on to this, then the velocity may vary with respect to the distance from the surface. So this distance versus velocity we have plotted here. This is called the velocity gradient. We also call it as velocity profile. Here the velocity is zero. Here it is increased to some point. Here it is increased. Here it is. Here it is at the maximum point. So the thing is, at some point velocity is zero. At some point velocity is maximum. This velocity variation with respect to the distance from the surface will forms a gradient. So this particular area is called a gradient of velocity. Okay. So this gradient will explain the relation between the surface and the flowing fluid. So what is exactly happening here? So due to the viscosity of the fluid, okay, due to the shear resistance, that is viscosity means shear resistance of the fluid. So which will make the difference. If the fluid is highly viscous, then this gradient will also vary with respect to that. So we can predict the relation by using a differential part in that is consider a small strip in that section. Okay, consider a small strip in this section. So this will help you to calculate the value of viscosity with respect to the shear resistance. Okay, so which is given here. Okay, here we can see that that velocity is given in a relation. So the thing is, the shear resistance of the fluid is directly proportional to the velocity gradient. So to remove this proportionality, we are introducing a constant called viscosity coefficient. Okay, this coefficient is called viscosity. This term is called viscosity. So it is the relation between the shear stress and the velocity gradient. So here we can simply calculate that to calculate this viscosity. So just inverse this relation. Again, you will get that. So it looks like a pretty simple thing. Okay. So in this the shear stress, the tau which is denoted here is called the shear resistance of the fluid. So this shear resistance is calculated according to the flow rate. This is calculated according to the force applied on the fluid which is flowing. So we can easily calculate that. So here we can see that the top layer causes the shear stress on the adjacent lower layer, while the lower layer causes a shear stress on the adjacent top layer. We all know that if this is the surface, in the fluid flow like this. Okay, so this particular the fluid which makes directly in contact with the surface will lose its velocity. But the thing is, here the velocity of the flowing fluid away from the surface will keep on will get the same momentum. Okay, it doesn't lose its velocity. This point is called the gradient. This point is called the gradient. So there is a relation. So what is happening here exactly? So here we all know that if a body which is subjected to a equal and opposite force, this will if this body in equilibrium, so this will create a shear in the structure. Okay, so similarly the flowing fluid, the uh, the, the force of attraction between these two fluid particle, consider a fluid particle which is flowing here and this fluid particle is restricted here. The force of attraction between these two particles, okay, will get uh, the force of attraction will get decreased. So this energy, while losing this energy, it is converted as a resistance force. Okay, so this will give you the value of shear. So here it is happening here. Here this flowing fluid is moving in this direction, and there is a resisting force which is moving in this direction. So obviously the shear will appear in this in between the two molecules. Okay. So by using this relation, we can able to calculate the value of viscosity in any fluids. So I think I have given some inputs on viscosity. So for better understanding. So have any doubts in this topic? Okay, I'll move on to the next one. These are the units of viscosity. Here you can see that, okay, this is called the tau, and this is change in velocity, which we call it as du, and dy is the change in distance. Okay, so it is given here. So the dimension analysis which is done here, and the SI unit of viscosity is Newton second per meter square. It is also it also has different terms, so that we are going to see that in later part. And here we have a simple problem using the viscosity topic. Okay, this problem is asked in 2018, I think, 2018, which is in your UPDA examinations. So before going to the topic, before going to solve, before going to problem, I have to tell you one thing. So we don't need the steps. We don't need the uh, formulations. We don't need to derive everything. Okay. So just use the formulas in the topic. Okay. Just use the formulas in the topic which is given here, and using that formulations solve the problem. So the thing is, you have to solve the problem in a very quicker manner, and just try to understand the shortcuts, okay, which will help you to solve this problem in a very quicker way. So saving time is the utmost important thing while going for competitive exams. Okay, so the thing is, the space between, the problem is the space between two plates is 20 centimeter into 20 centimeter into 1 centimeter. Okay, these are two plates. Okay, okay, these are two plates. The space between these two plates is 20 centimeter and 20 centimeter. Okay, 20, 20, and this is 1 centimeter. So it is space between these two plates is given here. 1 centimeter apart is filled with a liquid of viscosity 1 poise. Okay, so we all know that the 1 poise, which is equal to 0.1 Newton second per meter square. Okay, so this is also the units of viscosity. So here the thing is, the upper plate is dragged to the right side. Here it is dragged to the right side. The force of 5 Newton, keeping the lower plate stationary. This plate is stationary plate, and we are going to move this upper plate. Okay. Okay, upper plate. So what will be the velocity in meter per second of flow at a point 1 centimeter and 0.5 centimeter below the lower surface of the upper plate if the linear velocity profile is assumed for the flow? So if the linear velocity is assumed, means all considering all the fluids flow in this direction. Okay. So next thing is what he has defined is, he has given if you approaching a problem, just study the problem, just try to understand the statement which is given in the problem, and uh, just highlight your numerical values. Okay, Just highlight your numerical values. So what is the thing here? What will be the velocity in meter per second? Okay. So in what conditions? In two conditions. If the point is considered as 1 centimeter and 0.5 centimeter. So we all know that. Okay. We all know that for to finding the solution for viscosity problems. So we all know that tau, which is equal to mu into du by dy. So this is the only method to solve the problem. So here the change in distance, here the change in velocity, and here the change in distance. So what he is saying that he has given mu value and distance y values. So y has two conditions. Y at 1 centimeter is one condition, and y which is equal to 0.5 centimeter. This is another condition. So these two are the conditions. So in this, using this, you're going to calculate the velocity. This part you are going to calculate. That is a du. Velocity value you are going to calculate. So for that, what are all the essentials needs here? So stress, we need to calculate the stress value. Okay. So how to calculate the stress? So since it is a shear stress, okay, here it is given clearly that a force which is applied to the upper plate, okay, which is having a 5 Newton value, okay. While applying the force of 5 Newton, the surface, the fluid particles, which is closely connected to the lower part of the upper plate, will get disturbed. Okay. So initially the particles will align in this manner. Hello. So initially it is aligned like this. After the application of force, this rectangular alignment will be like this. The alignment of particles will be like this. What make this misalignment means this 5 Newton of load. So by dragging the plate, the fluid particles which is attached to the lower part of the plate will get disturbed and it will deform to at some position. So this will induce some shear stress between the two particles. Okay. So how to calculate the shear stress? We all know that stress which is equal to force by unit area, force by area. So what is the value of force here? Here we all know that force applied is 5 Newton. So take that as a applied force as a 5 Newton. And what is the area here? So here the plate is a rectangular plate, which is sorry, the plate is a square plate, which is having a 20 centimeter into 20 centimeter cross section. Okay. The lower part of the plate having a surface area of 20 into 20 centimeter square. So the molecules which is connected to the lower part of the plate will get disturbed. So we have to consider the area. So like this. So the particles which is here will get disturbed. So this part is 20 centimeter and this part is 20 centimeter. So okay. So if you calculate this area, so what is that? F is 5 kilonewton and this is 0.2 meters into 0.2 meters. What is the answer? So is there anyone with the answer?
The answer is B. Sorry, C. 12.5 is 6.25.
Answer is this one, this part.
C.
Okay. Answer is C. Okay. So if you calculate the shear stress, then automatically if you apply the value, then it is easy for you to calculate the U value. We have two conditions here. The stress which is 125 Newton per meter square. Okay. So this is the stress value. If you apply the stress value here, this is 125, which is equal to mu is just 1 point, which is we can take that as 0.1 into du. We can take it as velocity, and if you apply y as 1 centimeter, which is 0.01, we'll get some velocity at 1 centimeter value is how much is that?
12.5.
Which is around 12.5. So similarly at velocity at 0.5, which gives the 6.25. Okay, so this is the part. By using the concept of viscosity, we can able to solve this problem. So for explaining purpose, I have taken some 5 to 10 minutes to solve this problem. Okay, in your examinations, okay, don't try to elaborate everything. Okay, if you understand the concept of viscosity, just apply this equation. Just apply this equation directly. Okay, just apply this equation directly. So if you can, it can be easy to solve that. Just f by, that is you can directly solve that, f by 2.2, which is equal to mu is 0.1 into v divided by 1 centimeter, which will give the velocity at 1 centimeter. So you can do it directly. Okay, the main thing is we have to remember the formula which is given in top. Okay, let's move on to the next topic is pressure. So we all know that pressure is a evenly distributed force throughout a surface area, or a evenly distributed through a surface or a surface area. So we all know that pressure is the pressure is the cause of any work or any output, okay, in mechanical terms. Okay, so pressure, we can say that as pressure is the cause of occurrence of any event in a mechanical work. Okay, so how to measure that pressure? So in this examination point of view, so pressure measuring gauges and topics related to pressure is repeatedly asking in your examinations. So that too in a problematic manner. So the thing is, we need to understand the topic. So we need to understand the difference between the different types of pressures. Technically, we are saying that as technically saying that in different terms. Okay, So I will explain this in this diagram. Here, this is the basic diagram to understand the pressure and its measurements. Okay. So in normal atmosphere, we have a pressure value of that is atmospheric pressure. Okay. We all have an atmospheric pressure of 1 atm. Okay. There is 1 bar, approximately 1 bar. If you finalize thing means 1 atm, which is equal to 1.0132 bar. Okay, this is the pressure which is already in our environment. Okay, the thing is, next thing is any gauge which reads some pressure. Okay, which reads some pressure, that includes the atmospheric pressure also. Okay, so any pressure, any gauge, okay, any gauge which reads the pressure with the atmospheric pressure, that is called as a gauge pressure. So the absolute pressure, we call it as atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. This is the absolute pressure. So what we see in our gauges or any pressure measurement gauges, so those are not exactly the pressure which is in our environment. Okay, so that pressure is just is the external pressure which is caused by some additional work. Okay, that is, work means by pressurizing a fluid like that. Okay, so that is called the gauge pressure. So the absolute pressure is the sum of gauge pressure and atmospheric pressure. Okay, we all know that atmospheric pressure is having some value. Okay, so if this atmospheric pressure is absolutely zero, we call it as absolute vacuum. Okay, absolute vacuum. So the thing is, we couldn't able to attain that absolute vacuum in air because this atmospheric pressure is a very influencing thing. Okay, we couldn't able to make an environment in that is absolute zero bar. So we couldn't able to do that. The thing is, if you want to calculate, that is, if you want to calculate a vacuum pressure, okay, so how much vacuum is there? So which is less than 1 bar, which is less than 1.132. This is the which is less than atmospheric pressure. So that we call it as vacuum pressure. Okay, so vacuum pump in our air conditioning systems, we are using this vacuum pressure to handle our refrigerants and fluids. Okay, so this vacuum pressure is the atmospheric pressure minus of atmospheric pressure minus of absolute pressure will give the vacuum pressure. Okay, so if there is any pressure measuring gauges which reach the minus value of atmospheric pressure, that we call it as a vacuum pressure. Okay, so I think you have understood this explanations. So the thing is, absolute pressure which is equal to atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. Okay, next thing is, if you want to calculate the gauge pressure, just reverse this. P absolute minus of P atmospheric pressure. So remember these two terms which will help you to solve the problems in the upcoming sessions and also in your examinations. So these two are very important concept. So while calculating the problems in using the pressure topics, so this is the common mistake that every person will unconsciously do that, because we didn't we are in a hurry to finish the examinations. So in that, definitely we are going to confuse this. So if you want to calculate the gauge pressure, if you have to minus the absolute pressure minus of atmospheric pressure. So sometimes, so unfortunately we have added the value. Okay. So, and one more thing, if you are unlucky means then that value, if wrongly calculated value is appeared in your options, then you may the chances of selecting that option is more. So even though you have spent some effective time in that topic and effective time in solving the problem in your exams, at last you end up with a failure. Okay, so try to avoid this. Okay, so keep these small hints in a fingertips. Okay, at any cost you shouldn't get confused in this. Okay, so up to this, is there any doubts?
Oh,
So next thing is pressure measuring devices. So we all know that these are some familiar pressure measuring devices. There is a barometer, okay, and there is a piezometer and manometer U2. So this barometer we have studied it in your 10th standard physics itself, okay. So just this to calculate the atmospheric pressure, just we need density and acceleration due to gravity and height of the, that is the head of fluid. So if you multiply these three things, we will get the atmospheric pressure. Okay. So this device is used to calculate the atmospheric pressure. Okay. So we have different forms of pressure values here. One atm, which is equal to 100 kilopascal, and which is equal to 1 bar. Okay. Next thing is piezometer. It's simply a vertical tube which is used to calculate the pressure which is above the atmospheric pressure. Okay, in a closed environment. That is, if a fluid is flowing in a pipeline or a tunnel. Okay, so what is the pressure of the fluid? What is the pressure of the flowing fluid? So how to calculate that? So just fit a piezometer, that is just fit a horizontal tube in that flowing stream. So that pressure will make the fluid to raise a little bit in the external tube, that is piezometer tube. Okay, this is called the head. Okay, so it is measured from the middle of the pipe. Okay, this H is measured from the middle of the pipe. So that will give the exact pressure value. Okay, so how much pressure this flowing fluid is here. So here in this piezometer is used to calculate the pressure in a flowing fluid. Okay, pressure in a flowing fluid in a closed chamber or a closed tunnel. Okay. Next thing is manometer. That is many manometers are there, but we are using that YouTube manometer in a familiar way to calculate the pressure differences between 2 points. Okay, so we all know that if you have a if you measure the pressure difference between 2 points, so it is easy to calculate the flow. Okay, how much quantity of fluid is flowing here, flowing in a pipe or flowing in a pressured lines. So we can able to calculate it. So the pressure difference between the 2 points can be calculated by using the YouTube manometers. So I will explain these topics with problems. Okay. So here we have a small problem. Excuse me. here we can see that uh, an air tank which is filled a tank which is filled with some fluid or water. Okay, you're having an air gap, and the pressure is measured as a 65 kilo kilopascal here. Okay, the gauge pressure of air in the tank shown in the figure is 65 kilopascal. Determine the differential height h of mercury column. So the thing is, here we have three different fluids in the YouTube manometer. Okay, so the main thing is the pressure difference between here. We are calculating the pressure difference between the here. The thing is, here it is atmospheric pressure at the edge of it is open to the atmosphere. Since it is open, the pressure at this point is atmospheric pressure. Okay, here another side is it is measured that the tank is having a pressure of 65 kilopascal. Which is rated here using a gauge. So how to determine the differential height? You have to calculate the height here. See how to do that. We can use a right hand side approach or left hand side approach. Okay, so what are all in the left hand side or what are all in the right hand side, we can do any manner. Okay, so I will do from left to right. Okay, on my left to right. Okay, so what is the thing? What is the thing given here? So what are all the things which is in left side from the start point edge, which is 65 kilopascal. So just 65 into 10 power of 3 pascals. Okay, so just convert it into pascals. Okay, so next thing, what is the next thing given here? Next thing is here I have seen a head of water which is in the tube of 30 centimeter height. Okay, so this is due to pressure. If there is no air or any particles which is present here, then due to the atmospheric pressure, this water will get into the tank. So there is some pressure. Okay, so what is the pressure which is experienced by this water? Okay, what is the experience by this water? You have to add from this side. Okay, 65 plus what is the height of this? So we all know that to calculate the pressure, static pressure. So we all know that which is equal to rho g h. Okay. So similarly, in this way, we are going to calculate that. Here it is given as water. So water has a density of 1000 into what is the g acceleration due to gravity, which is 9.81 into what is the h value is 30 centimeter. So convert it as meter, which is 0.3. Okay, this is 0.3 meters. Okay. So what is the next thing? So here this is left side, okay, and this is right side. So we have completed the left side now. So then move on to the right side, which is equal to, okay. So if this pressure in this left side is equal to the pressure on the right side, so then only this position will be attained. So if this pressure get increased, then this water will pump this mercury and oil out of the tube. Okay, so it will pushes the mercury and oil. Okay, it will keep on pushing that. So and the thing is, it is also like an equilibrium condition. So left side which is equal to the right side. So what are all the things in right side? Okay, things in right side is mercury and oil. So let's start with the mercury. So what are all the things in mercury? Mercury has a specific gravity of 13.6. So to calculate density, so specific gravity into standard fluid. What is the standard fluid? Water. So density of water into specific gravity of fluid. Okay, this is the density of mercury. Okay, density of mercury into 9.81 into what is the height? We don't know that. Just keep it as h. Plus, after that, we are having a specific gravity of 0.72, which is 0.72 into 1000 into 9.81 into 0.75. So this will give you the value of, so if you solve this equation, you will get a value of h. Okay, so to solve that, so is anyone is having answer? So this one is 67943 is equal to 4.16 h.
Grade 9.
What's that? Hello.
मेरे को ब्रेड का खाता मेरे को
5297.4. So if you solve this, you will get the value. If you want to get this value of h, then 67943 minus of 5297.4
ना
divided by
मेरे को ब्रेड का पहुंचा
13346 equal to h. So h, which is equal to value is 0.469 meter. Okay, so this is approximately 0.49 meter. If you convert this into centimeters, you will get the 47 centimeters. So this is the answer. Okay, and the easiest way to solve this problem is, okay, just add the things which is in right side. Okay, add the values which is in right side and equate the value which is with right side. Okay, so you can easily calculate this value. So don't try to solve the whole equation. Okay, just directly move on to the solution part. So is there any doubt in this problem? Is there any doubt?
No.
Okay. So next thing is a continuity equation. Okay. So if this continuity equation, it tells you that simple thing that the total mass outflow which is equal to the total mass inflow. So whatever the thing, if we have a pipeline, okay, if we have a pipeline, the flow, okay, which is given here, Q which is given here, which is equal to, this is in, and Q which is equal to, this is Q out. Okay, these two are equal. So I think we can easily say that, okay, in a straight pipeline, if the condition is we have a branches in pipe, okay, this is Q in and this is Q out of 1, is it? This is Q out of 2. So here this input is divided into two outputs. Okay, so we need to calculate the velocity of the output of first flow and the second flow. Okay, how to calculate that? So to solve this problem, okay, to solve these unknown values, to get these unknown values, we have to utilize the continuity equation in a pipeline section. So it is very useful in solving the branches of pipes. So such problems or much important in examination point of view also. Okay, I have gone through some previous year question papers. This continuity equation problem is very important because it is very. The thing is, they can't ask very big problems in very big problems to solve in exams, because your time constraint is just 1 hour. Okay, so in that time they have to they have to fix the problem in a very basic manner. Okay, uh, while coming to that basics, this continuity equation is the first and foremost basic for the fluid flow properties. Okay, after the fluid flow properties, this continuity equation plays a very vital role in calculation of fluid flows and these things and all. So that's why these problems are asked frequently in your examinations. So try to understand this topic. Okay, it is very simple topic and also very useful in your exams. So here we all know that to calculate flow, which is Q, to calculate flow rate, we need the mass of fluid and the velocity of fluid, or we need the area of flowing fluid and the velocity of the fluid. If you use mass of fluid, then it will go for momentum value. Okay, so area into velocity. Okay, area of flowing fluid into velocity of fluid. So this will give the value of flow rate. So which is given in meter cube per second. Okay, how many meter cubes is discharged per second? So this continuity equation is explained here. Okay, here the thing is, here I have a pipe bend. Okay, here the area is A1 and here the area is A2. These two areas are not equal. This area 1 is not equal to area 2. So in such conditions, what will happen means the fluid flow will get restricted due to the narrow cross section area, due to the narrowing of cross section area. So that will pressurize the fluid up to exit point. So if it reaches the exit point, its velocity get increased. Okay, so this is also a concept of nozzle. Okay, concept of nozzles. So nozzles works like that, and nozzles, and the purpose of nozzle is to convert your pressure energy into a kinetic energy. The thing is, here the area A1, which is not equal to area A2. So in this area, V1 is the velocity of fluid. Here V2 is the velocity of fluid. But the thing is, Q at the entry, Q at the input, which is equal to the Q at the output. To increase the output, the velocity proportionally increased. Okay, so due to this narrow portion, you have this fluid get discharged. That is a Q input, which is equal to Q output. You will be able to change that. Okay, so the thing is, the fluid automatically changes its velocity to compensate this output. Okay, so this concept is called continuity equation. Okay, so we all say that Q, which is equal to, so we all know that Q input, which is equal to Q output. So commonly Q, which is equal to V1 A1, which is equal to V2 A2. Here the area is decreased and velocity is increased. Here area and velocity are proportionally, here it is a constant area and velocity. Okay, if you go on narrowing the area, if you decrease the area, then automatically velocity get increased. Okay, so this is the thing which is happening in nozzles also. Okay, so this continuity equation is very important. So try to understand this topic, and this equation is very important while solving problem. So next topic is Bernoulli's equation. So we all know that Bernoulli is a scientist, so have defined the energy of a flowing fluid. He stated that in a flowing fluid, in a steady flow, that too, he has given some assumptions also, how his equation works. So within that assumption, his equation is perfectly acceptable. Okay. So the thing is, how it is working. So what are the conditions in a steady flow, continuous flow of an incompressible fluid? Remember that in a Bernoulli's equation, the flow should be steady flow, and it should be a continuous flow, and it is an incompressible flow. Okay. So the thing is, incompressible means the fluid bulk modulus should not get changed. Okay. Due to the external pressure, actually, in a practical manner, fluids get compressed. Okay, not as gases. Fluid also will get compressed, but in a very little bit manner. In a very negligible volume, it will decrease. Okay, so he has made an assumption that his fluid is a perfectly steady flow and a continuous flow and incompressible flow. So if these three assumptions are perfect, then the energy at all the points of the flowing stream is equal. So this is the thing Bernoulli proposed, and he adapted the help of Euler, who is a mathematician, to derive its equation. Okay. So here it is given that Bernoullis have very wide range of applications. Okay. Here the thing is, here I have given a airfoil, okay, which is aerodynamic airfoil. Here, this is the flowing stream. So here the stream hits the foil and it gets deflected. Okay, this particular gap is called the boundary layer. Okay, this particular gap between the molecule and the surface, which is called the boundary layer. And the thing is, the Bernoulli works particularly in the top of this section, because here only the fluid is perfectly steady. Okay, and continuous. Next thing is incompressible. But the thing is, the fluid which hits the nose will get compressed some part. Okay, will lose its velocity and gets compressed. Okay, so this part have some turbulence. Okay, so we wouldn't able to apply the Bernoulli's boundary layer concept and Bernoulli's equation here. Okay, so this particular part, this shaded region which shows you the boundary layer. So this particular part is it is a, here the flows get disturbed, and the flowing fluid is get somewhat compressed, and the flow is not continuous. So they couldn't able to validate this portion with Bernoulli's equation. Okay. So Bernoulli's equation is very useful to calculate the flow discharge in pipes, pressure lines. So so many applications are in Bernoulli's equations. So next thing is assumptions of Bernoulli's equation. The thing is, the assumptions are given here. This is first assumption is inviscid fluid. The fluid is ideal fluid, frictionless. There is no such ideal fluid in this universe. Okay, and there is no such frictionless fluid in this universe. Every fluid has some turbulence. Every fluid has some frictional resistance. Okay, if you are going in a bike, even though if you have some perfect shoe, okay, consider a MotoGP or a F1 race car driver. He he is having a very polished and smooth surface, even though he gets some drag due to the surface profilometry. Okay, so, on that basis, I'm saying that no such fluid in this universe are frictionless. Every fluid, even thin air, has a frictional resistance. Okay, so that's why he keep it as an assumption. Okay, in viscid fluid. Next thing is steady flow. So as far as concerned, there is no such steady flow in this. Even undisturbed stream, or even if you drink some water, it will get into your what is it? Small intestine. It will get into your the stomach tract. So that flow will also be a that flow is also a not non-steady flow. Okay, uh, if why I'm saying this, to drink water, you will feel some goggling effect, or you will feel some what is that? You will feel some load in your throat, but not in your intestine. Okay, not in your tract. Okay, so that much smooth is your what is that? That much smoother is your foot track. Okay, so even that smoothness couldn't able to provide the steady flow. Okay, so steady flow is an assumption. So along a stream, so already I say that a streamline. Next thing is constant density. So the thing is, constant density is incompressible flow. So every fluid is compressible. Okay, every fluid is compressible. But the thing is, depends on its viscosity, the rate of compressibility is may vary. Okay, so there is no such fluid. That's why he will keep it as constant density. Next thing is no shaft work or heat transfer. It should be a free flow. Okay, it should not be a forced flow. Okay, so these are the assumptions of Bernoulli. Why I am explaining this is, these assumptions are asked in your maybe it is asked in your true or false or anything else in your examinations. So try to remember this. Next thing is how the Bernoulli demonstrated his equation using these assumptions. Okay, next thing is a head correspond to energy per unit weight of flow and as dimensions of length. So the thing is just go with the practical thing. If you have a pipe, okay, I have a pipe here. Okay, I have a pipe here. The thing is, this pipe is perfectly horizontal. Okay, perfectly horizontal. This is the direction of fluid flow. So in this, I have a pressure P1 and a velocity V1. Okay, and since the pressure is, since the line is since the flowing fluid is perfectly horizontal, there is no head value, that is datum. Okay, there is no height difference between the point 1 and point 2. Okay, so in this condition, P1 which is equal to P2 and V2. If in case I lift this particular second portion to an elevation like this, okay, now it is first section, it is second section. If I elevate this section, okay, if I elevate this section, so what will happen? So what will happen here? Now the pressure P1, V1, and here it is Z1, which is equal to 0. And the thing is, the difference between the difference of height from the first point and the second point may get varied. So this height, this is the Z2. Okay, so this height will create some back pressure in the flowing fluid, right? So that will increase the pressure at this point, and velocity may get decreased. Okay, due to the increase of pressure, velocity get decreased. So okay, so even though the flow is maintained, Q is constant throughout the line, so the pressure may get varies. So if you calculate the energy at this point and the energy at this point, the total energy is equal. So which is given there. So is there any questions? Someone is trying to speak. I think someone is trying to speak. Is there any questions? Okay, shall I proceed? Okay, so this elevation will give the increase of pressure. Okay, if you calculate the energy at these 2 points, then it will be equal. Okay, so the thing is that is given here, which is given here. Okay, next thing is piezometric head, which is called the pressure head. We call it as. Okay, so piezometric head is which is calculated head, which is called as a pressure head plus elevation head. So these two. So the total head is piezometric head plus velocity head. This is the velocity head. So the total head is pressure head, datum head, and velocity head. So simply we call it as this particular part is pressure energy. Okay, this is potential. That is this is the potential head. Okay. Next thing is this is kinetic energy. So all these energies calculated at one point, which is equal to the energy of the fluid flowing in the second point. Okay, here the pressure head, and so using this relation, we can able to calculate the velocity of the exit fluid. So we can apply this equation in nozzles. We can apply this equations in pressure lines. We can apply this equation to calculate the flow of fluid. That is the flow rate of fluid. Even these equations are used in rockets nozzles. Okay, so how much thrust is produced, how much velocity, how much exit velocity of the jet is produced there. So these things can be calculated by using this Bernoulli's equation. So just try to remember that this is this particular part is pressure head, and this is datum head, and this is velocity head or kinetic energy. This is pressure energy, kinetic energy. Okay, so try to understand this. Next thing is application of Bernoulli's equation. So many applications are there. So now we are going to discuss with some small applications. Okay, so Venturi nozzles and orifice meters. So these are the basic applications. So we all know that these are pretty similar types of devices to measure the flow rate of, that is measure the discharge of fluid, that is Q value of Q, to calculate the flow rate of fluid. So Venturi meter contains a rapidly converging section. So we all know that these are the basic three flow measuring devices. Okay, so orifice meter, nozzles, and Venturis. Here Venturi is having a sudden contraction like a necking section. So here in this consider this as a section 1 and consider this neck region as a section 2, that is at the exit of the at the exit of the next section. Okay, so the energy difference between these 2 points will be used to calculate the flow of the fluid in the venturi. Okay, so the next thing is nozzles. So nozzles are used to convert the pressure energy into kinetic energy. Okay, so here also we can able to calculate the flow rate using this nozzle application. Okay, so the thing is, uh, so we can apply this concept in rockets. Okay, so rockets needs thrust to propel. Okay, so the basic concept of calculation of thrust is force which is equal to mass times of acceleration. Okay, how the velocity get accelerated at the exit of a nozzle, okay, with the quantity of mass which is nearly equal to the flow rate, okay, which is equal to the flow rate. So we all know that discharge which is equal to the q which is equal to meter cube per second. Okay, so we can take it as a liters per second, we can take it as a kilograms per, so we can calculate that. So using that density values and all, we can able to calculate that. So we can able to calculate the mass value and accelerated flow of flowing fluid. So with that we can able to calculate the thrust force produced by the jet of fluid. We can able to calculate that. If you know the mass flow rate of fluid flow from the nozzle and the acceleration of accelerated flow of nozzle, we can able to calculate the force. Okay, so to calculate the mass flow, we need the Bernoulli's equation. There is no other choice there to calculate the mass flow rate. Okay, we have to apply Bernoulli's equation in nozzles. Okay, next thing is orifice. So orifice is a small hole type structure. Okay, consider this as a tube cross section. So orifice is a small hole. Okay, so all the fluid in the section 1 should have to pass through the small cross section area, so that the pressure get increased on the section 1, and section 2 the velocity gets increased here. So due to this difference, energy difference, we can able to calculate the value of Q. Okay, so these are the 3 different types of flow measuring devices which is used in used to calculate the flow rate by using Bernoulli's equations. So here I have taken a problem in Bernoulli's application, okay, to calculate the to determine the flow rate if the pressure is increased, if the pressure in each of the gauges reach 50 kilopascal. Okay, ma'am. So here we have a situation that we have to calculate the flow of fluid. Here, since the flow is flowing downward, consider this section as a section 1. Always consider the fluid entry as a section 1, okay, and this as a section 2. Remember that if any problem which is given like this, don't take that this point as a section 1 and this point as a section 2. Okay, the fluid flow from this side and it is flow. Okay, this is the Q in and this is Q out. Okay, just follow the arrow mark. Okay, that itself mean the direction of flow. Okay, so this defines the flow is from the top to bottom. Okay, so therefore the flow entry is always first one. Okay, first section, and flow exit is always second section. So just apply the Bernoulli's equation. What is the Bernoulli's equation here? Pressure head pressure head plus which is equal to P2 by 2G plus velocity at this exit section plus Z2. Here the thing is, here if the pressure in each of the gauge reach 50 kilopascal, here the pressure at this entry section and also in the exit is same, which is 50 kilopascal. So the pressure P1 which is equal to P2, so this will get cancelled, equal quantity. And the next thing is velocity. Definitely the velocity is not same both in entry and exit. Therefore, use this V1 square divided by 2G plus Z1 which is equal to V2 square divided by 2G plus Z2. So here the thing is, we all know that the difference between 2 points, okay, here it is section 2 and it is section 1. The distance between the 2 points is 10, okay. So here we can say that the differences, okay. So absolutely velocity at the exit will get increased, so that we can say that as V2 square by 2G minus of V1 square divided by 2G is equal to Z1 is above the value of Z2, okay. Z1 is above the value of Z2. So it is given. Hello, any doubts? Hello. So if you have any doubts, means you can ask boldly, or you can put a text in your text box, okay, so that I can answer that. So which is Z2 minus of Z1. It is the value where I have just go. I have to need the calculator to calculate this. Okay, so here I need to calculate this. So how to get this one? Okay, let me finish that. Like that. So okay, ma'am. So just we have both the common denominators, that V1 divided by 2G is equal to. So this difference, which we call it as 10 meters, right? So this Z1 minus of Z2, which is given as 10 meters here, is already given as 10 meters. Just move this to this side. We'll get a value of V2 square minus of V1 square, which is equal to 10 into 2 into 9.81. Okay, so calculate that. what is the value? 10 into 2 into 9.81. This is 196. V2 square minus of V1 square is equal to 196.2. Okay, so let it be the equation, and we have another equation to predict the value of V2. Okay, let it be the equation 1. Okay, we also know that flow rate Q, which is equal to A1 V1, which is equal to A2 V2. Here it is given here. This section at first, the cross section at the first section is 2 meters. It is having a diameter of 2 meter. So just pi by 4, 2 square into velocity V1 is equal to pi by 4, just 1 meter here, is 1 square into V2. Just cut these two, and 2 square is 4 V1, which is equal to V2, and we can say that V2, which is equal to 4 times of V1. Just substitute the value here. Just substitute the value here. So here we have taken it as meters here. Just take that as a just apply this V2 value here. So we'll get, substitute in first equation, we get 4V1 whole square minus of V1 square is equal to 196.2. Sorry. There's one out of presentation mode. Okay. 196.2. So just calculate that. V1 square minus of 1 square is equal to 196.2. This is 15 V1 square to 196.2. So V1, which is equal to, so if you get that value, (196.2) divided by 15, 13 value. So root of 13.8 will give the velocity of approximately 3.7 on meter per second. Okay. So using this V1 value, calculate, substitute the value here. So Q is equal to, what is A1? 5 divided by 4, 2 square into 3.7.
खाता है 10 मिनट बाकी है.
Hello. Okay, so by solving this, we can get that this is 2 to 4, and this 4 get cancelled, and you will get the value of 11 point around 6-7 meter cube per second, approximately 11.4. This is getting the answer. Okay, so by solving this, we can able to do that. But if you hello, is anyone is willing to talk or anyone? Hello. Please try to mute your background noises. Okay, so now we got an answer which is more relevant to this. So the thing is, if you solve this problem as per the procedure, it will took minimum 10 minutes. Okay, so this question is asked in 2017. 2017. I don't know which month it is, but it is in 2017. Okay, I've taken that problem from that question paper. So if you solve this by as per procedure, it will get and at least it will took 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, if you are familiar with the formulations, then it is okay. If you are familiar with formulations itself, it will took 10 minutes to solve as per procedure. So the thing is how to shortcut this problem. So just the thing is, it is given that pressure of each of gauges is 50 kilopascal. So since if you are, have you seen that the pressure has a 50 kilopascal, so we don't need to the pressure at these 2 points are equal. So I already said that P1 V1 and Z1, and here it is P2 V2 and Z2 here already here. Okay, you already know that here the pressures are equal, so we don't need to consider this pressure. Okay, so just leave that. The next thing is what are all the two things, V1 Z1 and V2 and Z2. So is there anything which is related to is there anything that is given that velocity is equal or velocity is this times of a velocity in V2? So it is nothing given here. So just write that velocity and neglect the values of acceleration due to gravity. Okay, neglect the value of acceleration due to gravity. So if you eliminate everything, then at last you will get directly the equation V1 plus Z1 is equal to V2 plus Z2. Okay, so the thing is where you have to instead of doing that, where you have to add that acceleration due to gravity means you have to convert this distance into a pressure head. Okay, into a head. So how to do that? So if you want to convert this into a head, then you have to consider consider this as the acceleration due to gravity. So that's, you can do that also, or you can directly write the equation as 2g as 2g. You can take it also. Okay, just move on to this. Move on directly to this step. Okay, don't waste your time while substituting all these things. If these two things get clear, then the remaining things are this. Okay, and just consider if a problem is given like a horizontal line, then these two Z1 Z2 also will become 0. Okay, so in such cases Z1 Z2 we don't need to consider that. So if same if this problem it is given like this. Okay, this is section 1. Okay, this is section 1 and this is section 2. If it is in horizontal, then Z1 which is equal to Z2. So there is no such thing. Just leave that. Just velocities plays a vital role here. If this problem is given as a horizontal manner. Okay. So the thing is, you have to shortcut the problem. So to do that, you have to be familiar in concepts, and we have to be familiar in formulations. Okay, just shortcut this step. So if you just switch on to this step, and the other step is this one, okay, you will directly get the answer. Just 2 to 4 minutes. That's it enough. That's enough to solve this problem. Okay. So I hope you have understand this. Is there any doubt in this problem? Is there any doubt? So next thing is application of Bernoulli's equation using a pitot tube. Okay. So pitot tube is a simple concept. In this, we can able to measure the velocity of a flowing fluid. So how much velocity the fluid is flowing. So that can be calculated. The simple way of calculating the velocity of fluid is pitot tube. Okay. So just use this, just insert the tube with the nose in a flow against the flowing fluid. It will give some head. Okay. It will give some head difference. So that head difference is used to calculate the velocity of flowing fluid. Okay. So next thing is same thing. By applying the velocity of flowing fluid, then it is by solving this, by cancelling this equations, at last we get the velocity v1, which is equal to rho 2gh. So this is the very important thing. Okay, so using this velocity, we can able to calculate the using this velocity, we can able to calculate the flow rate. Also, we can able to predict the value of momentum of fluid which is flowing inside the tube. Okay, so these are the things which can be calculated here. So the same thing here, the pressure head, since the tube is at the perfect horizontal position, we don't have that, we don't need the pressure head here. Okay. So here it is exit velocity in the tube is which is nearly equal to 0. We need the entry velocity here. Okay. So that is the thing. So to calculate the entry velocity, we need this equation here. So here, this value can be calculated mathematically, but theoretical value due to the friction coefficient of flowing fluid and the tube surface, there is a drag. Okay. To compensate that, we are applying a concept called coefficient of pitot tube, so which indicates the drag which is caused due to the surface profilometry of tube. Okay, so a simple problem using this pitot tube concept. Okay, this problem is asked in 2020 last month exam. Okay, so here it is a 6-inch diameter tube. Okay, here it is having a stagnated at the head at the very fine bore tube as shown in figure. So here we have two tubes. Okay, one which is inserted as a just a vertical limb. Another one is a pitot tube. Here the thing is the pressure. This particular point will measure the will shows the pressure head. Okay, how much pressure here? So this height will shows the pressure, and this height is used to calculate the velocity also. Okay, so we can easily calculate that using these formulations. So how to calculate that? We all know that pitot tube has a equation called velocity v, which is equal to root of 2gh. So v which is equal to root of 2gh. So how to calculate the h? So here the thing is, here the flowing fluid is get into the nose, and it will increase the it will induce some head in the vertical tube, okay, vertical limb. So the thing is, uh, due to this pressure difference, okay, so here it is free flowing fluid, here the fluid is constrained and it is get into a nose, okay, so this will create some pressure drop. So that pressure drop can be compensated by here, okay. So this height is the exact height required to calculate the velocity of fluid. So what is that? So h, which is equal to, it is 12 inches height, okay, it is 2-inch height. So it is 12 minus of 2, you get the 10 inches. So just use that. Root of 196.2. This is the velocity is 14.07 meter per, sorry, inches per second, okay. So this is the velocity of flowing fluid, okay. So with this I'm concluding this topic.